Welcome to the Purple Patch Sales Edge podcast with me, Danielle Dacuna Howarth, and my awesome co-host, Lucy Lee. In this episode, we deep dive into return on investment and business casing in sales. How you can, of course, start building a business case even from the first discovery call right the way through, and how to use business casing to close more deals faster. Remember, if you do want to send us your voice notes, ask us any questions or raise any topics, we would love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to hang on until the end, because that's where we put all the great tips, ideas, nuggets, and takeaways for you to go ahead and implement immediately. Hey there, Lucy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well. Really well, thank you. The weather here has been pretty incredible. We've had like 28-degree days. I know you won't want to hear that. Definitely not.
Oh, it's just cold. I thought we should do something different, because every time we get on the podcast, we talk about the weather. And that's the one thing we tell people that they shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So we have to say something interesting.
Okay.
So my interesting fact.
Go on.
Is that Lindsay painted that with paint by numbers.
Oh, so for those that are listening and not watching our podcast, you should watch us.
Yeah,
We're quite entertaining.
Yeah.
There's a paint by numbers painting behind Lucy. It's very good.
It's good, isn't it? I like it.
Very impressed. Very, very, very impressed. For me, what have I got to tell you? We've just had some friends come and visit from Australia, which was really nice. Very boozy, but very, very nice. We had a great
The ones
week.
we've stolen off you.
Haven't stole, I've lent them to you. They are our best friends that I have lent to you because I'm a very, very good person. Very good person. Anyway, we digress. I hope everybody else out there is having a lovely weekend whenever you're listening to this. And so today's topic is all about business casing and ROI in sales. Now, this was a topic that I asked if we could bring to the forefront. Lucy said yes, which was great. So why did we want to bring this to the podcast today? We are hearing that, from not just salespeople, but companies as well, when I think about the companies that are engaging with us, is that people are finding it very, very hard to build business cases, drive business cases in the deal. They're being asked for help with business casing way more than they've ever been asked before. And that's to be expected. Like for me, and I would say for any other kind of salespeople that have been around the block, if I cast my mind back to the GFC, the global financial crisis back in 2007, 2008. No, yeah. This happened then too. Like, honestly, we had the glory days of just people being able to sign off one signature, sign everything off, get a deal over the line, and then lo and behold, there were all these other people in deals, and there was all this scrutiny around spending. So this is, I think, the right thing for companies to be doing. And, the good thing is that, yes, there is a lot of scrutiny around spend, but people are spending again. And I think that's something we need to shine a little bit of positivity on. I would say that the back end of last year, middle of last year was definitely tougher. But we do know that, yes, like spending seems to be opening up. And just again, to shine some more positive light on this, particularly if you are in the SaaS market. So by the end of 2024, the global SaaS market is projected to reach, let me look at my notes, 317.55 billion. So that is actually, that would be up by 273 billion in 2023. So we are spending. And it's continuing to grow. Like the global SaaS market is expected to grow to 1.23 trillion by 2032. I think that's when the next Olympics are. No, that's when the Olympics in Brisbane are, 2032. Interestingly, 92% of business leaders are either planning or likely to purchase AI-powered software in 2024, which again, I think aligns with everything that we're hearing. 73% of people said their organization spends too much time manually planning and budgeting still. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity for technology products in those areas. And in 2024, SaaS buyers are choosing to invest in new technology again to improve productivity and strengthen security. So AI, productivity, security, any of those areas that your solutions service, I think you're in really, really good stead. So I didn't want to come all doom and gloom, but the reality of the situation is that, yes, I would say more now than ever, or more now than especially in the last 3 to 4 years, I would say most deals of a significant value will be asked to produce, help, or support business casing to drive the kind of spend and investment in your solution. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the forefront today. What about you, Lucy? Have you been hearing the same thing?
I think I can probably speak for both of us when, that's the SaaS industry, but like, you've been running this business on your own for a long time and you brought me in more recently and we've seen a change. Like we're noticing it.
More scrutiny, again, meeting with more people, really driving the understanding, the needs, the wants, and definitely having to help them, get the sponsorship internally and acquire the budget. So can absolutely agree. We're seeing it.
And I think it's just an important topic when you started talking about it and we're like, should we do it? I was like, we need to do it. And I think it's a need because no one gets trained how to do it. So no one knows what a business case is because they're all different. No one even knows how to put one together. So I was like, actually, this is a really good one. Everyone just focuses on top of the funnel and this is massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge because, again, I shine a light. There's positivity. Things are getting better, but budgets are tight. And companies are either focusing on cost reduction, focusing on ROI of the products and the solutions that they already have in place. I think that is really, really interesting as well. Like, I think there's a far bigger drive rather than looking for new solutions. Can we drive better usage, better ROI out of the technology that we already have? I think that, again, is huge. So if you are looking to do a rip and replace, you are going to have to really drive a great business case for that to happen, and I think, again, we mentioned this on another podcast as well, just around people have been burned by implementations, bringing in new technologies, being promised the earth. Then when a solution comes into play, doesn't quite hit the mark, or some of the things they've been promised didn't happen, or they didn't, plan effectively for the right resourcing. So again, I think there's an element of that. So if I bring it back to the specific topic here of business casing and ROI, so and return on investment, I want to try and just pull apart the two because I think they get muddled together a little bit too much. And the main differences between ROI and a sales business case is that ROI is like this financial projection using hard numbers and projections that stem from the anticipated investment in the new software. And also, when I think about ROI, companies that share ROI can be in case studies, it can be in customer testimonials. What backs that up is they've actually taken the time and partnered with the customer to actually analyze the customer's internal data as well as their own, to then actually say and put a rubber stamp on the fact that, yes, in this case, for this customer, based on our joint analysis of our data, we have managed to blah, 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 ROI on this solution product, saving them this money, generating this, solving this problem, etc. So that's ROI. Sales business cases go kind of a lot deeper than that surface level sales ROI like projections. What you're attempting to do when you're building a business case is you want to help them make that decision by a really, really smart investment, by articulating their business context, highlighting their pain of inertia, so highlighting their pain of doing nothing, and using,
Cost nothing.
savvy financial projections and calculations to illustrate that path to their desired end state. Okay. So the difference is that you're going to be working with this prospect, with this customer, to build that business case, right? To actually look at their numbers and look at examples of your customers to then build, but really focusing on the pain that you are solving to then deliver that business case both at their level and up the chain as well. So does that make sense?
Total sense. So I've got a question.
Go.
Where do you think they should be using business cases?
Where? This is great. I like this. There's two ways of looking at this. I have recently, I actually did a piece of work, and again, this is why it's front of mind for me, but I did a piece of work for a customer the back end of last year. And they said what's happening is they're being asked for help with the business case on or after solution stage. Okay.
Right.
So they're being asked by the prospect to help build a business case, but that's actually really quite late on in a sales process, right? So does every single deal need one? Not necessarily.
No.
Are more of your deals right now going to require one? Absolutely. We talked about that when we opened. Should you behave as if you're building one? I would say yes.
Of course.
Because the problem that we have is if, let's say, you're cruising through this sales process, you've done good discovery, you've got in front of the right people, you have built a solution, you've done a demo, and then they're saying, like, it looks great, really looks, can you now help us to, we've been asked to pull together a business case. Then you're basically going right back to square one to kind of build this business case. Whereas if in your mind from day dot, from that first initial conversation, you are thinking about listening for numbers, pounds, dollars, percentages, you can already start building your business case literally from the first meeting that you have.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
From the first meeting that you have. And it is a skill. It is a skill.
I feel like a lot of it, especially business casing, it's just admin. Like, people need to get better at like managing their day, their opportunities, their conversations, and not waiting until, because what happens is, like a business case, if you aren't documenting that somewhere, hopefully a CRM, then it's just noted down somewhere or nowhere, probably in your brain. And then when actually you get asked to pull that together, you can't, because you've got dot points all over the place. One meeting within your head, the other one you didn't have your notepad, the other one you put in Salesforce. Like, it's not clean. So a lot of this as a sale, it generally is like, you call it like that operational excellence piece, and just really managing yourself to yourself. And if you said you're going to take notes and you're going to start building a business case, start building a business case.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of a story, I suppose, and I think this will merge quite nicely into the tips and the how-tos. Okay, so often with this particular topic, and I'll reference this piece of work that I did last year. There was a lot of complaints coming from the field, coming from the salespeople, because they were basically saying we're too expensive. Right, we are coming across as being too expensive in relation to the competition and the incumbent solution that they currently have. Okay, so that was number one. Number two was, we don't have enough case studies. We don't have enough case studies. I don't have enough reference points to improvements, enhancements, ROI. We've no proven ROI. I don't have any great like percentages or stats that I can kind of lean on to share with these prospects. So as me and my research phases, as I got into the research, right, and start listening to some of these challenges, and a lot of the research that I do in particular is, I will sit and spend a whole day, sometimes 2 days, just listening to gong calls at different stages of a sales cycle.
I love that.
And what was really funny was that I didn't hear I didn't hear the prospects saying, "What's the numbers for that?" Like, show me this, show me your case study. They weren't asking for it at that point, and therefore I didn't see that these were blockers to them kind of moving the deal through. Now, what was really interesting to me was the too expensive piece, right? And it was really funny because actually, yeah, gosh, right, on face value, they did seem really expensive. But then when I started to work out the differences in utilization of the product, because it was a utilization-based product, actually, as soon as you start using this solution, it becomes cheaper. They're also not, and so it was really interesting. And folks that are listening to this, right, you will never, ever, ever have enough case studies, ever, in any organization. You will never, and even when you do have great case studies, a prospect will say to you, well, they're nothing like us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you're never going to have enough case studies. Statistics, ROI, all that good stuff. Yes, like I think companies can always improve on that. But again, it takes dedicated resource to take one of your existing customers who's been with you over 1 to 2 years to engage with you in an analytics process, to analyze each other's data, to then build and get some really, really hard ROI numbers. And again, it's quite easy to do once you get access to doing that with customers, particularly those that have been with you for a while. But anyway, all you need is a few, because as soon as you've got a few, you can use those numbers to reverse engineer. So I'm going to come back to what I kind of did with this customer was I built an ROI, not an ROI, I built a business casing tool.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we did was we looked at, well, what are the challenges? What is it that our product actually solves? And in this case, it was things like absenteeism in the workforce. It was things like that. Okay. So we could really quickly get down to 3 to 5 key points of impact, okay, that this solution could help with. Now, 3 to 5 is a great number because you only really need 2 to 3. The other 2 or 3 is actually just additional. So once you know that, then ask the questions around that.
Yeah,
do you have problems with absenteeism?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. Tell me more about that. But what we don't do is dig deeper. We don't use the probing questions to uncover the root cause, right? We need to keep going. We have problems with absenteeism. Okay, interesting. How do you monitor absenteeism within your business? What are the current numbers? What have the numbers been over the last 6 to 12 months? The more you dig and the more you take note of these things, that's when it plays out in 2 ways. Number one, you can absolutely qualify or disqualify this. You can qualify or disqualify this opportunity.
Yeah,
super easy. Is this a need or is this a want? Right? You can easily, if they're not answering these figures, if they're not, if you can't find pain, if you can't really find this impact to their business that equates to numbers, dollars, pounds, percentages, then actually you can go, this is just a want, right now.
Yeah, totally.
Right. It's not.
I'm never going to get over the line.
I'm never going to get this over the line.
No.
So the skill is asking the customer what metrics are actually suffering due to these challenges, okay? And then once you understand the metrics, okay, so what are the financial implications of not hitting these metrics, of these metrics being low? Then it's like simple mathematics. It really is not. It's really, really not rocket science to be able to then go, if that metric doesn't directly relate to the financial value, dig deeper, find other underlying metrics. And I'll give you another example. I sat in on one of on a prospect call because this guy had said, we need to, I would really like your help in building a business case. So I said to the AE, would you mind if I just sit in and listen? So this particular customer was in the security field.
Yeah.
And if I come back to the absenteeism, right? So we were talking about absenteeism, and then he mentioned something, and I can't remember the word that he used, but he used a word and he said, because if we don't fulfill this, we have X to pay. And I was like, hang on a minute. What is this X to pay? Like, what is this? And he said, well, effectively, if I have I'm committing to my customers that I will have security available. If one of my people do not turn up, then I have fines to pay.
Yeah, wow.
So dig deeper. How much are the fines? Well, they can range between this and this. Okay. How often are you being fined? Don't know. I can look into that. Okay. Do you think you could get me an annual figure for the fines that you've had over the last 12 months? Yeah, I think so. Because if I can get the figure for how much you've been fined, and those fines are direct correlation to absenteeism, and I can impact absenteeism, I can reduce your fines.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's huge. And with that, I remember that business, they really struggled with the value prop almost, and you doing that almost just spoon fed them. It was like, actually, it's quite straightforward, but you needed to go deeper.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It is, and it's like, honestly, like, doesn't matter what business you work for, what solution you do, like, what are the 3 to 5 things that you actually impact, right? Do you have, because again, we literally found true stats, ROI research that had been done with customers, and we managed to, we could stand behind the fact that on average, we will reduce this by this. On average, we will reduce this by that. So then we could use those calculations. So I then built a whole calculator which could be manipulated by the AE. They could complete the calculator with the prospect, right?
Yeah. How powerful is that?
Don't always use your numbers.
Yeah.
Use their numbers, right? Always use their numbers, because their numbers are true and real and they can stand behind them. Use your numbers simply by examples of, on average, we have impact this by 5%. On average, our customers see black by 3%.
Yeah.
Use those averages, but work them against their numbers. And my understanding is, I haven't got the full detail, but my understanding is that one tool highly impacted their close rates for the remainder of that financial year. And I need to get, I need to go back and actually get that, because I think it'd be good for our website. But I digress. So the tips and tricks on this for me are just really, really simple. It is about getting very, very comfortable, understanding the metrics, like having, again, 3 to 5 really, really direct questions of saying to that prospect, like, with these pains and challenges, what metrics are suffering?
Yeah.
What are the financial implications of those metrics? If they don't know, ask them if they can find out. And then it's always about identifying the metric behind the metric with the financial value, right?
Yeah.
It's never the first one. So that you can make a more compelling case to drive that business pain and eventually build a really robust business case to aid them in this process. And by leading that, like, don't wait for them to tell you that they need a business case. Lead that. Just say, as we work through this process, I'm already starting to capture elements that we could use if a business case is required. Don't offer a business case, right? If we can avoid that step, let's completely avoid that step. But it's about being prepared for that should they ask for it.
Agreed. Be prepared to fail to prepare.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
It's a
Any
huge
other
one.
questions? Any other thoughts, LL? What are your thoughts? Sorry, I know I've talked a lot in this one. I tend to.
Could have given you a monologue for this one, DDH.
I know.
I'm joking. No, I agree. I think it's an area of expertise which you have a lot of experience in. I think it's incredibly important. I think it's incredibly simple. I just think people didn't, hopefully they do now, know how to put one together and why they needed to put one together. So if you want help with it, can we plug it?
Yes, please. If you want help, let us know. But can I tell you some of the other really funny things that people do around this, which really makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So companies will produce like ROI things or business casing things. And then they'll put it in their company branding, right? So for instance, it's like if I had a customer and they said, "Oh, Dan, can you help just pull this together into a bit of a business case and some of the, projected, whether it's like for us, again, we can look at particular metrics and we can say, on average, we would impact close rates, opt to win, all that kind of stuff." So imagine me then building that in all purple patch branding and giving it back to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You would do.
The business case does not come from you, people.
Agreed.
Right? It shouldn't be in your branding. Why? Because it should be as if they've built it, they've done it, they've done the numbers, and they're presenting up in their organization. So it should be on their decks. Okay. So please do not, you should literally be helping to supply the information, but it shouldn't be in our branding, right? So that's a really interesting thing that often happens. If it is complex, if it's an enterprise deal, if it's strategic key accounts, often you will have, again, depending on your organization, but often you will have business value consultants internally that you can work with, that you can use, that you can utilize. And not being funny, they've probably done this hundreds of times before. So there's a lot that you can already leverage. So please do not feel like you are on your own in this. Look internally, see who's done this before, and see if you can manipulate some work that's been previously done. I don't believe that you have to start from scratch every single time. What else? Probing questions.
We got one pager on that.
Yeah, probing questions. Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper. Always. As soon as they say it, and it's okay for me and it's okay for you when we're observing a call and we're not there and you should have asked that. Listen to your own calls. Listen to your own calls and look and go, oh my God, that door was wide open. Why didn't I ask that question? If somebody says a pain, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Why is that a pain? What metrics is that impacting? And what's the financial pain, the financial implication behind that?
Exactly.
Dig. Don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Always a cost of doing nothing. And the finisher for like that, when you go through like all the probing questions that we've built, the bonus question at the end of it, I enjoy because it's just like, is there anything else you think I should know? Like just round it off. Because you've just set those set of questions, right? Like you've led them down that path. You need to now quickly open it back up just to ensure you've got everything before you now move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Love it.
Is there anything else you think I should know? In fact, I always remember that. It was called what was it called? This is proper old school sales, but like when everything was done in person. But I remember a sales trainer said to me once, before you leave, like, it was like the door close or something like that. But, you said, oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And then you'd hold on to the door to leave, but then you'd just turn around and go, was there anything else that you thought, just before I leave, is there anything else that you think I should know? And it would open the floodgates. And apparently the psychology behind it is like, they think you're leaving. So like all the guards have been, all the walls have been dropped. So funny. Yeah.
I reckon there's something in that. There's a yes trolley. See how many yeses you can get before you get to be closed, and they're just so used to saying yes. We should do an episode on like old school sales techniques and how many of them actually work.
The nodding donkey. Yeah. I like it. The yes clause, brilliant. So many. But ultimately, you know what? Like, there's no harm in understanding and knowing all of the different processes, tools, techniques.
No.
I like to say that salespeople are like mechanics. We give you all the different tools, all the different methodologies, tactics, and you pick the right ones
Exactly.
for the deal.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. Definitely.
Full autonomy. Well, I've really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed that one.
I've learned something, so I hope everyone else did.
Yeah, hopefully everybody else did. Give us a like, give us a comment. If you've got any business casing that you're doing at the moment and you've got a point of view on this that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you very much for joining us on this episode.
See you next time.